Hey folks, I like to read you another news article, a very short one, how banks are stealing your money and making record profits. And they're doing it on the backs of the savers. So let me just read this really quick. Savers have been shanghaied. First of all, the title of this is Banks Earn Record Profits in Quarter 2. Savers Sacrificed. It's off of the wolfstreet.com. And the author of the article is Wolf Richter. Savers have been shanghaied into doing an enormous job in small increments day by day for 9 years, recapitalizing the collapsed U.S. banking system and making it immensely profitable again, leading to high core capital ratios, record bonuses, big fat dividends, and massive share buybacks. And the FDIC, in its quarterly banking profile released today, shows how. The total number of FDIC insured commercial banks and savings institutions fell by 271 down to 5,787 banks by the end of the second quarter. Of them, 5,338 were community banks. Most of this shrinking was due to consolidation, but were a handful of bank failures. In 2016, 5 banks failed. So far this year, 6 banks failed, and the remaining banks get a bigger slice of the pie. Here's the good news, though. Almost everything in this report was good news. That is, unless you're a saver whose income stream has been confiscated in order to make this good news possible. FDIC insured banks and savings institutions booked a combined net income of $48.3 billion in the second quarter of 2017. A post-crisis high. That's up by 4.7 billion or 10.7 from a year ago. The 4.7 billion increase in earnings was caused by a jump in the net interest income of 10.3 billion. Net interest income is the difference between a bank's revenues generated by interest-bearing assets, such as loans, and the cost of its liabilities, mainly deposits, but also bonds and the like. Currently, banks borrow money from you, the depositors, at a near zero cost. But then they loan it back to you at whatever interest rate they find acceptable. Don't you like that? And I also want to stop there also. You folks ever seen that commercial, Feed the Pig? And it's this big piggy bank walking down the street and some guys running after it, trying to chase it and deposit money in its slot. Many people think that's the banks being good to us, telling us to save money because it's good for us. The banks want us to deposit money and save money because did you know that every dollar in the bank, they're allowed to loan out, I think it's 10 times that amount. So for every dollar you put in the bank, they're allowed to loan out 10 more. Okay? So hypothetically, let's just say a bank had zero money in it. They had no money to loan out. If you put $1 in there, they're allowed to loan out $10. They're allowed to loan out money they don't have. That's amazing. Thank you, fiat currency. That's just beautiful. It doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't. And I wanted to just go off now on a tangent because I don't even want to read the rest of this news article. You all pretty much know what banks are doing to the communities and to people. It's a vampiristic system, the system of debt. They give you money and they're telling you try to help you, but you have to give them a little bit more back. It's a vampiristic system. And I want to just transition into self-reliance. Now, I understand people need to borrow money. I understand it. I recently took out a car loan, and the only reason I took out a car loan because it was at 0% financing. I want to segue into self-reliance. Folks, you need to be self-reliant. I don't mean to talk down to anybody because there's times where I haven't lived up to that. But we all need to be self-reliant. We all need to be able to provide for our families. And we need to do it without the help of others. When we rely on others, they become our masters of sorts. They're allowed to tell you, you want welfare? Yeah, you're only allowed to work up to so many hours, and then you're going to lose your welfare. You want Social Security? Yeah, we'll give it to you, but you're only allowed to work so many hours, and then you lose it. They're able to tell you things and put regulations on anything they give you. Now, I'm not bashing the people that have welfare and food stamps or Social Security for that matter. But you got to admit, if you're having that, if you get that, you know what I'm talking about. There are regulations, rules that you must follow that the master says you must follow. They don't give you that money for free. It is a controlled function. It is something to control you, not to help you. I just want to preach everybody to be self-reliant. Be self-reliant. Today at work, a couple of people were talking, and I overheard them talking about me. And they weren't talking bad, but one of the girls remembered from 2 years ago that I had a second job, that I had a business on the side. And she was just amazed that that I had another business, and because she couldn't figure out why I had such a good job working there. It's more money equals freedom. Freedom. That's what money is. Yeah, it's a mechanism for buying and trading goods, but the more money you have, the more free you are. Freedom. And that's why when you win the lottery, yeah, you're winning a mechanism for trading goods and services for money, but what you're really getting, what you're really winning when you win the lottery is ultimate freedom. Oh yes, you'll have to obey some rules of society. Don't get me wrong, but you are free. You're free to sleep in as late as you want. You know what I mean? You're free to, you don't have to go to the master and work in his business and follow his rules and regulations now. Anyway, folks, self-reliance, try to achieve that, okay? I don't like taking help from anybody. First of all, it's hard to ask. And I do realize that everybody needs help from time to time. I've needed help. But I also know that every time I took help from somebody, it came at a cost. Folks, have a great day. Thank you very much for listening.